The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race officially concluded from Homestead, Miami Speedway, and Kyle Larson comes back from a spin and picks up his first truck win of 2025. What's going on, guys? This is Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race from Homestead, Miami Speedway, the Baptist Health 200. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go talk about it. So at the start of the race, he had Corey Heim lead the field from the inside with Tanner Gray on the outside, and Corey Heim got a really strong run and was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, the bottom lane experienced a lot of congestion going into turn number 1, and Gio Ruggiero, after Ross Chastain made it 4 wide going into turn number 1, the bottom lane got congested. They were 4 wide going into turn number 1. Gio Ruggiero ends up spinning out and collecting Ben Rhodes, bringing out the caution. To me, a little bit over-aggressive from all the drivers on lap number 1, but I would kind of chalk it up to being a race deal, to be honest. I don't understand why we're going 4 wide in turn number 1, but it's racing. Sometimes you're going to have drivers make aggressive moves on the first lap, especially with the track being so wide as it is. It caused an incident. Tough break for Gio, who qualified very, very well. So then on the restart, you had Corey Heim lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Corey Heim got a really strong run and was able to clear Kyle Larson for the race lead. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson got a really great run going into turn number 3 and was able to pass Corey Heim for the race lead. But then these two would battle back and forth for the next 4 or 5 laps, and eventually a couple laps later, Corey Heim got a great run on Kyle Larson and was able to get the lead. But Kyle Larson made a really impressive slide job move going into turn number 1, and he was able to get the lead. And then Corey Heim got the run back to the inside, and he was able to get to the lead. And then Kyle Larson and was battling with Chastain as well for the lead. And they would just put on an incredible battle between these two guys for the next 5 to 10 laps. Eventually, Kyle Larson got by Corey Heim and actually started pulling away from him. But as the run continued on, Lane Riggs' truck really started coming in. He moved up to second position, and they were running Kyle Larson down as the run progressed. They would cut the gap down quite a bit as Larson's truck was not very good on the long run early in the event, and they caught Kyle Larson around 5 laps ago in stage number 1. Then Corey Heim made a really big move with 2 laps to go in stage number 1, and is able to pass Kyle Larson for the lead, with Larson dropping back a little bit. Kyle Larson would try everything he could to get back to Corey Heim, but he would have a little bit of a slide, get sideways going to turn number 4, and coming off the corner, Corey Heim would hold off a hard charge in Kyle Larson and Lane Riggs and win stage number 1. Then, all lap cars would then come down pit road, with I believe Corey Heim winning the race off of pit road. There were some drivers had some issues. Lane Riggs lost a lot of spots off pit road, and a couple other drivers jumped up to the front. So then on the restart, you had Corey Heim lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and we saw Tyler Ingram get squeezed up the track by Ty Majeski, where Majeski lost on the ground, but Corey Heim is able to clear for the lead. And then the great battles up front just continued. You had Ty Majeski get up to second position, passing Kyle Larson. And then you had other drivers charging up to the front, like Caden Honeycutt and Daniel Hammer, who were charging their way as Kyle Larson was starting to challenge Corey Heim for the lead, and Stuart Friesen was right there behind as well. Eventually, Stuart Friesen got a run on Larson and took off to second position, but Larson got back to the inside and was able to clear. And we just saw some great racing up front once again between Kyle Larson, Ty Majeski, Stuart Friesen, and Corey Heim, with Corey Heim continuing to lead. Ty Majeski was able to get up to second position, but Corey Heim pulled out to a little bit of a gap. And then Kyle Larson would get a great run as the run went on and moved up to second position. But Kyle Larson wouldn't have anything for Corey Heim, and coming out the final corner, Corey Heim would come off the corner and win stage number 2. And then all lead lap cars would then come down pit road, with Corey Heim winning the race off of pit road. Meanwhile, there's some contact on pit road, I believe, between Caden Honeycutt, Ty Majeski, and I believe also Daniel Hammer, and some other drivers had some contact, and a lot of them would end up getting damage on pit road. This would also hurt Ty Majeski's chances because he would have to go to the tail end. So then on the restart, you had Corey Heim lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Kyle Larson had a really bad restart and dropped back to third position as Daniel Hammer got a great run on Larson and moved up to second. But then Lane Riggs made a bold move going into turn number 3 and was able to move up to second position, getting by Daniel Hamrick and Kyle Larson. And then Kyle Larson got a great run on Corey Heim and was able to challenge him for the race lead. But Larson had a bad exit off the corner, and Lane Riggs and Ross Chastain got a great run on him, and they were able to move up to second position. And then Ross Chastain made a massive dive bomb move going into turn number 1, and he was able to pass Corey Heim for the race lead, and he started pulling away. However, as the run progressed and went on, Corey Heim's truck really started coming into play, and he would get by Ross Chastain entering turn number 3 and was able to take the race lead. And then as the run progressed and went on, there was some great racing. Kyle Larson, though, got a massive run on lap number 90 of the event, trying to make a move to second. And Larson would get sideways going into turn number 1, ends up spinning out going in the corner, getting a little bit of damage on Lane Riggs' truck. Larson is able to save it and ends up doing a 360, but spins out but gets no damage. Larson brings out the caution in the final yellow of the race. Kyle Larson just being a little bit too aggressive there. He was being a little bit too impatient. We knew his truck was really, really good and getting better on the long run, but was a little bit too impatient at that point and spun out. But luckily for Larson, his night would not be over. So then, all lead lap cars would then come down pit road, with Corey Heim winning the race off of pit road. Meanwhile, Caden Honeycutt would get a penalty for equipment interference. I believe Matt Crafton also got a penalty as well, and Lane Riggs also had a terrible pit stop. So then on the restart, you had, I believe, Ross Lane leading the field from the inside, and we got back to green with Corey Heim leading the field from the inside and Dale Hemrick on the outside. And Corey Heim got a really strong run and was able to clear for the race lead. But Ross Lane kept right up with Corey Heim and was able to keep up there and challenge him for the race lead. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson was starting to charge his way back up to the front. This is going to be the big story of the rest of the race, is could Kyle Larson get back up there? It took us some time to get moving, but he was starting to charge his way up to the front. Meanwhile, Corey Heim got a really good run on Ross Chastain with around 30 laps to go and was able to clear for the race lead. And you got a really good battle a few laps later between Lane Riggs and Ross Chastain, and you're thinking that's going to be the pass for second. However, all of a sudden, with around 20 laps to go in this race, Corey Heim is starting to lose power down the front straightaway. The truck all of a sudden just shuts off for whatever reason, and this gives the lead to Lane Riggs and Ross Chastain, and now they're battling for the race lead. And Corey Heim's truck, though, really started coming up. And then Corey Heim got up there, and all three of these drivers would start battling for the lead once again. And then once again, a few laps later, Corey Heim's truck was shut off once or twice and started losing a ton of ground, but then was able to keep up. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson is coming. His truck is absolutely the best truck on the longer run and was running the leaders down, was almost 6 seconds back at one point, and has cut it down to around 5 seconds. And then once again, Corey Heim would have more issues and would lose power, and then Ross Chastain got to the inside and passed him for the race lead. And as the run continued on, Kyle Larson was continuing the charge after the leaders, and Larson got by Ankrum. He got by Hemrick. And then eventually, with 3 laps to go, Kyle Larson got by Ross Chastain and moved up to 3rd position. However, with 4 laps to go in this race, Corey Heim will once again experience power issues twice on the same lap and will lose a ton of ground. Lane Riggs got the run to the outside and was able to clear for the race lead, and Kyle Larson got up to 2nd. And then as the run continued on, Larson's truck was half a second faster than the rest of the field and would get a great run coming to 2 laps to go in this race, would go to the outside, coming down, I believe, the back straightaway, and was able to take the race lead from Lane Riggs going down the back straightaway. They would try everything they could, but it wouldn't be enough as Kyle Larson pulled off to an incredible lead, and coming off the corner, Kyle Larson comes back from a spin and picks up his first truck win of 2025 and his 4th career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win. I am still shocked that Kyle Larson won this race. After spinning out with like 45 laps to go in this race, Kyle Larson just dug in. And had it not been for Corey Heim's issues, I think Corey Heim probably wins this race. But Larson's truck was so good on the long run, it was just running everybody down. I was just shocked that truck was on wheels as it was. That was one of the best comeback performances I've ever seen from Kyle Larson. Absolutely insane. He had a really strong truck. Wasn't the best truck tonight in my opinion, but just see him come back the way he did was absolutely incredible. He's going for the sweep. We knew it was going to be a factor. Congratulations to Larson. Just one of the most incredible comebacks we've seen and a really solid finish to a great Truck Series race tonight. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give my score and thoughts on tonight's race. So Kyle Larson picks up the win. Lane Riggs finishes 2nd. Really strong run for Lane Riggs. He's been very solid to start 2025. I think Lane had one of the best trucks in the field, probably the 3rd best truck overall. His truck looked really good. I thought he was going to win the race, and all of a sudden Kyle Larson got by him at the end. But Lane's been really strong. He's going to be someone to watch out for through the remainder of the year. Great run for Lane. He finishes 2nd. Corey Heim finishes 3rd. Tough break for Corey Heim. He had the best truck by a mile in this race, and it wasn't really even close. If it wasn't for those power issues, I think he runs away with this thing and picks up the victory. But sometimes you're going to have bad luck come your way. But he's just showing right now he's ready for the Cup Series. Had a great run. Still finishes 3rd, but I know he's disappointed by finishing in 3rd place tonight. But had a fantastic run, all things considered. Great run for Heim. Tough break to not pick up the victory, though. Tyler Ankrum finishes 4th. Solid night for Ankrum. Was quiet most of the night. Ran inside the top 5. Another really solid performance after running pretty good at Vegas before issues happened last week. A great run for Ankrum. He finishes 4th. Dale Hemrick finishes 5th. Best run I've seen of Hemrick so far this year. He's been really quiet to start the 2025 season, but tonight he really performed. That pit crew delivered and got himself a really solid top 5 finish. A good night for him to get a top 5 for Hemrick, who I thought would be more stronger at the start of the year. This is definitely a step in the right direction. Great run from him in 5th. Ross Chastain finished 6th. His truck was really good on the short run, but on the long run, that truck really fell off and fell all the way back to 6th at the end. It was still a really good night for Ross, all things considered. We knew he was going to be a factor to win. He led a ton of laps tonight in this race. Fantastic run for Ross. He finishes in 6th. Jake Garcia finishes 7th. Another great run for Jake Garcia. Doing much better on that truck now than Hailie Deegan had done. I think that's his 3rd top 10 of the year, which is better than last year. I'm telling you, Jake Garcia is really starting to figure out the ThorSport trucks. He's been probably the 2nd best ThorSport driver so far this year. Got some stage points tonight as well. Kept the nose clean. Gets himself a solid top 10 finish. Great run for Jake Garcia. Chandler Smith finishes 8th. He still has not won a truck race so far this year, but he's been having a quiet start to the year. He's one of, I believe, only 1 or 2 drivers that's had top 10s in every single race. Great night for him inside the top 10. Could have been more of a factor, but he gets himself a top 10. Good night for him. Grant Enfinger finished 9th. Ran inside the top 10 most of the day. Just never had the speed to contend for the victory, but gets himself a top 10. And Caden Honeycutt finishes 10th. Great comeback from Caden. I thought he was going to be a factor tonight, and he certainly was. He just had multiple issues on pit road that cost him a shot at contending for the victory, but a great recovery, too, from after the equipment interference penalty. He gets himself a top 10 finish. Ty Majeski finished 11th. Decent recovery after the issues on pit road and what happened there. A solid night for him. He finishes in 11th. Brandon Jones finished 12th. After how well he ran in practice, I thought it'd be a factor. He never had the truck set up for the nighttime. It just never had the speed. Tough break for Brandon Jones to not have the best run he could. He could have ran a lot better, but not a great night for him. He finished 12th. Matt Crafton finishes 13th. Matt Mills at a solid night finishes in 14th. Corey Dave finished 15th. Solid night for him. He did start in 11th. He does get himself a top 15 finish. I know he lost spots in the race, but that's better than last week especially. He ran inside the top 20. Just got to get that experience, finish on the lead lap. That's all that matters. Stuart Friesen finished 16th. He was really strong early. That truck fell off, unfortunately, as the run progressed. Disappointing end to what was a good race for Stuart. He finished 16th. Tanner Gray finished 17th. Stephen Parson with a solid night finishes in 18th. Connor Mosack finishes 19th. And Luke Fenhouse finished 20th. 21st place finisher Jack Wood. Raj Crew finished 22nd. He was actually inside the top 10 on the final run, but the truck just was not good at all tonight. Had no speed in the truck whatsoever. Disappointing night for Raja. He finished 22nd. Dawson Sutton finished 23rd. Frankie Muniz gets top 25 and 24th. Andres Perez-Laura finished 25th. Tony Breidinger finishes 26th. No speed in the truck whatsoever. She's been not that good to start 2025, and the bad season continues for her. She finished 26th. Nathan Burr finished 27th. Spencer Boyd finished 28th. Gio Ruggiero finished 29th. Keith McGee finishes 30th. Michelle Dizier finished 31st. Akon Uragata finished 32nd. Ben Rhodes, who fell out of the race at the end, finished 33rd. No mention on the broadcast, by the way, by that. And Steve Malazzi finished last in 34th. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give my score thoughts on tonight's race. Outside of the really bad, bold move that we saw on lap number 1 that caused a caution early, I thought this race was absolutely outstanding. We know that Homestead Miami Speedway is really, really good, but the Truck Series usually puts on solid shows here, but they never put on great shows. Tonight was one of the best truck races I have probably ever seen in the history. There were so many great battles, so many battles for the lead, multiple drivers, comers and goers. You didn't really know at this point. You knew Corey Heim had the strongest truck, but there were guys up there contending with him. Kyle Larson, think about Grant Enfinger, Lane Riggs, the racing side by side, the great battles, and just the unbelievable, amazing racing. I really hope Homestead Miami Speedway is the finale next year, and I know there's a lot of talk that it could be the finale, because if it's racing like we saw tonight, man, I'm excited for championship weekend next year if this is the track, because the racing tonight was just amazing. It was incredible. A really great finish, too. My score of tonight's Truck Series race is my favorite truck race in a while. I'm giving tonight's race overall a 9.7 out of 10. It was nearly a perfect race. If it wasn't for that incident on lap number 1, it probably would be a perfect score because that was that good of a race. It was really enjoyable. I love racing at Homestead. My score of tonight's race is a 9.7. So, that is going to be it for tonight's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race review from Homestead. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's race. Your thoughts on tonight's race, let me know below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And congratulate Kyle Larson on picking up the win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we are going to have the we're going to have the qualifying reactions for the Cup Series, and I also have reactions for the Xfinity race as well. Well, Xfinity race, we're going to have reactions potentially to qualifying as well. Then, of course, on Sunday, we're going to have the starting lineup video for the Straight Talk Wireless 400, and we are also going to have the reactions to the Cup Series race and probably even a Shane Van Gisbergen video. And then on Monday, we should have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. We got content coming out, people like Haley Diggin, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Eric Almirola, Connor Zillage, Junior Motorsports, other people like Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, all the good stuff we'll be talking about on the channel over the course of the next couple days. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.